I've had so many whipped cream splatters on the walls in my apartment. So this is just gonna prevent some of that. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Recipe Drop. I'm Nea, and today we're making an apricot and honey no churn ice cream. It's a really simple dessert that comes together with only a handful of ingredients, and it's a really great use of apricots. We're gonna make an easy apricot jam, fold it into the ice cream mixture, and then freeze it, and then we're done. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut up the apricots. I have actually been keeping the apricots in this veggie bag. It's a 100% cotton bag for veggies, and what it does is it keeps your veggies and fruits fresh for up to a week. Basically, before you add your veggies, you dampen it with water, and then you put your veggies in, and then if it gets dry, you can just spritz it with a little bit more water. But it does really do a really good job of keeping your veggies fresh. So for example, carrots, you know how sometimes they get a little flimsy in the fridge sometimes? This will prevent them from doing that. So yeah, I have a few at home and I really like them. So I have half a pound of apricots here. These are not the ripest apricots, I will say. Try to find ones that are as ripe as you can, because that's just gonna help them cook down a bit faster. So I'm just dicing them up now into probably 1/2-inch pieces. The smaller the apricot pieces are, the quicker they're gonna cook down. So I'm gonna now add the apricots into a small saucepan, small to medium. And notice I haven't turned the heat on yet. Then I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar. And then I'm gonna eyeball in like 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I say 2 teaspoons in the recipe, but if you have a little more, it's not gonna do anything bad. It's probably just gonna taste better, honestly. Now I'm gonna turn the heat on to medium-high, and I'm just gonna stir to combine this now. I'm gonna kind of wait until the sugar has dissolved, and then I'm gonna turn the heat to low, and it's gonna simmer for about 25 minutes. The thing when making apricot jam though to keep in mind is that apricots don't have as much moisture as like berries such as strawberries or raspberries, so you might have to add a little bit of water kind of throughout the cooking process to make sure that the saucepan doesn't go dry, and so that you still have like a jam and not just like burnt apricot pieces. Okay, so it started to boil a little bit here on the sides, which means it's time to reduce the heat to a simmer. And the reason I'm making a jam is because I want to have a nice little apricot jam swirls throughout their ice cream rather than just pieces of fruit. And also because the cooking process helps to kind of remove that moisture from the water, it's going to prevent the apricots from being kind of icy in the ice cream. Don't be afraid to add a tablespoon of water here and there, because again, you don't want the saucepan to go dry, and that water is only going to help to soften the apricots and is going to evaporate anyway. Okay, so the apricot jam is pretty much done. I've kind of just been going in and mashing it with not the back of a spoon, but the front of a spoon, whatever is easiest for you. This kind of just helps to break them down a little bit more. I'm gonna try to get this to cool down really quickly, so I'm spreading it around in a small bowl, kind of to make the layer kind of thin, and then I'm gonna put it in the bowl of ice water. And this is just gonna cool until we're ready to add it. Okay, so now we're gonna start on the actual ice cream base. So I have 2 cups of heavy whipped cream, or heavy cream, that I've left in the fridge because cold heavy cream is gonna whip up a lot faster than warm whipped cream, or warm heavy cream. I keep saying whipped cream. It's also gonna whip up into more volume than if it was warm. Now I'm gonna whip this into pretty stiff peaks, but make sure that you don't over whip because we don't want it to start turning buttery. So the thing about whipping cream or making frosting or basically whipping anything in a shallow bowl like this with a handheld mixer is that it's gonna go everywhere. So when I'm whipping cream, I like to kind of just drape a clean kitchen towel over like this. What's happening in here? That's such a dumb joke. Okay, it's getting there. Almost. Okay, I think that's probably as far as we can go. Stiff peaks. So now I'm gonna fold in a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And what the sweetened condensed milk is doing here is it kind of takes place of a custard, which would normally be in ice cream. And it's also just gonna make the mouth feel super creamy and really soft. And it's gonna mimic the texture of real ice cream. And the sweetened condensed milk and any sugar is also going to prevent some of those ice crystals from forming, which we don't want because then that's also going to make it taste like not true ice cream. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm using Diamond Crystal kosher salt. Very important that you use this type of salt if you're going to use these measurements, because otherwise your ice cream could end up being way too salty. So if you're using table salt, definitely kind of go more by taste. So I'm doing a 1/4 teaspoon plus 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt here. And it might seem like a lot of salt, but it's gonna bring out a lot of that extra flavor, and it's gonna be so delicious, and it's definitely not gonna be too salty. You're definitely gonna notice a little bit of saltiness, but it's really, really delicious in this ice cream, and it helps to balance out the sweetness of the sweetened condensed milk and also the honey and the apricot jam. So now I'm just gonna whip this together until it's just combined. So this is actually cooled already, which is great. So to assemble the ice cream, I have an 8x4-inch loaf pan. You can use a 9x5 as well, it doesn't really matter. This is just the one that I saw first. Now we're gonna layer the ice cream base with apricot jam and a drizzle of honey. We're gonna start with 1/3 of the ice cream mixture. Spread it out. Damn, you know what I forgot to do? So what I forgot to do is add a generous dollop of the ice cream compote, and I'm just gonna fold it right in there. It's not enough to like make it really apricot-y, but it's just enough to get like a subtle hint of it in there. Now we're gonna pour it in. So starting with 1/3 of the ice cream mixture, then I'm gonna dollop a little bit of the jam kind of throughout. Only do about 1/3 though, because we wanna have 3 layers of everything. And then drizzle in about a tablespoon of honey. Nice, or like 2 teaspoons. And we're not gonna swirl it quite yet. I'm just continuing to layer on everything that we've already added. More jam. And you can kind of go in like an opposite pattern. So if you started over here on the first layer, maybe start over here on the second layer. And I think the honey is a really nice touch here because the overall ice cream doesn't taste like honey, but you get those little swirls of it in your mouth and you just get that like subtle honey flavor. It's really nice. And now I'm gonna add the rest of the ice cream mixture. The thing that I really like about this no churn ice cream method using whipped cream and sweetened condensed milk is that it's just incredibly easy, and it's literally only 2 ingredients, but it's just a really good base for adding really any flavor. I've done this same thing with pistachios, I've done it with chocolate, I've done it with just like a vanilla bean. We're finishing off with a drizzle of honey. And now you could take the back of a knife, or I'm gonna use the back of the spoon, and we're gonna do my favorite part, we're gonna swirl. And make sure now to kind of go down below so that you kind of mix all the layers from the bottom too. I think it's nice to have like the honey on top because then you get a little fun honey pattern on top like that. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna do one more swirl around like this. I have such a hard time knowing when to stop. So the trick when making ice cream is that you want to take either parchment paper or plastic wrap, and you want to take a little layer first. Unfortunately, it is going to ruin some of the like texture that we have on there, but you want to press it down so that it touches the ice cream. Try to eliminate as many air bubbles as you can, because essentially ice crystals are going to form wherever there are air bubbles. And a few of them is fine, but you just don't want it to cover the whole thing. All right, so once I've done that, I'm gonna take even more, and I'm going to generously wrap it. If you wanna make this ahead of time and store it in the freezer for a while, make sure to wrap it really tightly. You could even wrap it and then store it in a Ziploc bag as well. Okay, so this is gonna go in the freezer for 4 hours to overnight, and then you can keep it there for up to 2 months, I'd say. All right, it's day 2. Just kidding. This is my swap. You can see I tightly wrapped this one as well. And here you can see there are a few ice crystals, just in a few areas. All right, got my hot ice cream scoop here. It is so soft. Oh my God. Guys, look at that. That is nice. I even need to take a photo of that. That was incredibly easy to scoop. It was so soft, and honestly, I didn't even have to let it thaw at all. This came right out of the freezer. To serve, I have my tiny ice cream spoon from Fantasia Flatware. They have a really comfortable hold, and they actually come in a few different colors. They also have a really nice cake fork, which I really love, and it has kind of like it's a fork, but kind of with like a knife on the side. But for ice cream, these small ones are perfect. I love a small spoon for ice cream and for a lot of things, actually. Damn, this is good. I forgot how much I like apricot. This is so creamy. You would have no idea that this wasn't made in an ice cream maker. Yeah, I think this is a really fun way to use apricots. If you like this video and you want the recipe, you can find it down below, linked in the description. Please let me know if you try it. You can also find me on Instagram at Nea_Arentzen. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.